Savana. Built for science, ready for regulation.
So without going further, I will hand it over to Dr. Ignacio to begin today's session.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you please confirm you can hear me? Yes, okay. So
Yes.
hello
All
everyone.
good.
Hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. Happy to be here. I will make sure that even when I am the founder of a company, dRWE Evidence, and I have obvious commercial interest in being here today, at the same time, this is informing and that you hear things that are probably new or not that common to hear in the industry with regards to the intersection of artificial intelligence and evidence generation. I am a neurologist by background, and this is what I do. This is what I've been doing for the last 12 years of my life, trying to, along with my team, trying to innovate in how to use true AI, not just trendy large language models, but true machine learning to help us generate evidence, which is something that honestly I think is not that common to hear in our industry, in our market. So hopefully we will learn something today, and maybe we can continue the conversation afterwards. So thank you to the team organizing this for us today, because I think it's a great opportunity. Okay, so sharing slides now. And once more, if you can please confirm you are seeing them, I will proceed.
Good. That's good.
From start.
Yes, it's visible now.
Okay, great. Okay, so the idea is that, as fair enough, there are many ways to generate real-world evidence, but probably the most relevant one is the information that we find within healthcare providers, right? And what we are discovering is that today technology allows us to do it with only a fraction of the human effort, because we can do this applying technology, and most importantly, methodology on top of technology, so that it's not only easier, but it's also reliable. And the combination of both is what allows me to start this by saying that we can have a platform that is AI driven, but at the same time, it's regulatory grade, right? So if you're here, you know what are the problems of the industry when it comes to extracting information to generate real evidence. I don't need to coach you about it, but basically, we normally address this point by saying that, first of all, the majority of the information that has some value within healthcare providers is unstructured. I think this is very important. We have claims, we have prescriptions, we have labs, but that more or less, it has been studied many times, accounts for more or less 20% of the information. But the other 80%, toxicities, adverse effects, patient journeys, the other 80% is normally trapped into free text, into semantics, into narratives, okay? So when that was on paper, that was a problem. We couldn't do anything with that aside from manual tar reviews. But now, thankfully, it's unstructured, it's narrative, but it is digital. It is something that we can do something about. So unstructured would be the main one, but it's also very regulated. You know that. It's also static. The majority of the databases that we have access to, whether they are commercial databases or registries or claims databases, they're static. There's something that was generated months ago or even years ago sometimes. And of course, it's very fragmented. It depends on the country. Some countries are very fragmented, like Germany or even the US to some extent. Some countries are less fragmented, but in any case, there's no such thing as a centralized database with everything, not even in the Nordic countries, right? So what I propose here is we can apply this branch of artificial intelligence, which is called natural language processing, the ability to transform free text into structured information, into variables, into data points. And we can do it in a way that is scientifically valid. We will get into that. But this is not about large language models. The problem with large language models, I mean, they're very nice. We all use them. But the problem is that, as we know, they make a new answer every single time. So by definition, that's not scientific. That's not reliable. It's not replicable. So the consequence of that is not only that the EMA and the FDA stated that they're not going to accept databases generated with LLMs, it's also that from our moral scientific point of view, it's something that we shouldn't do in principle, because we don't know if the database that we are generating is valid. But there's another type of AI that it has been a long time with us in the industry, that allows us to transform variables in a way that always gives us the same results, and that we can benchmark to what a human would do, which is at the end of the day what we want. If we apply that, then we can take discharge reports, clinical notes, radiology reports, histopathology reports, any type of patient note, as long as it's digital and it's written, and we can extract all the variables from there with reliability. We can, of course, combine it with structured information, so that now we not only have 20% of the information, like with all those claims databases out there, but now we have 100% of the information, and we didn't have to put humans to extract variables for months and years, like in a manual chart review or in a traditional registry. This can be done multilingual. The state of the art of the technology is not that you can do every language of the world like this, but it's not something that can be done only in English. So as of today, it can be deployed across several languages, covering the majority of the countries that mean an important fragment of the market. And translating into a new language is something that is doable within a period of months. So it's not weeks, but it's not years, just to give you an idea. And of course, the more you train, the more you're going to improve. And in that regard, I have to say that in our case, in Savana, we have been doing this for 12 years across 13 countries and almost 300 hospitals. And that means that the level of training is, as you can imagine, high. I said it, if you do this, then you're combining structured and unstructured information, you're covering 100% of the information. And I like to say that this is probably the closest mirror of reality you can get today. Because at the end of the day, the whole reality, you're never going to have it. You don't know what's happening to a patient exactly at home. Maybe with an app, you can improve that with prems and prompts, but even in that case, you don't have everything. But the closest to everything you can get is to have the complete medical record. And that, thanks to this clinical natural language processing, exclusively trained with medical records, is not enough if you train it with PubMed and so on, then that you can do it. Now, it is okay to apply technology to transform free text into variables, but what's the point if you cannot validate it? If you cannot check with a robust methodology that the variables you transformed are correct, are the ones that a human would extract if he or she was an expert and had the right amount of time, right? So in short, I like to say that the original invention here is not NLP applied to medical records. The actual invention is the methodology on top of the technology to validate that extraction is accurate. And that's where a whole pipeline of quality checks, benchmarking, annotation in AI, when a human does the CAPTCHA, how many traffic lights are there here, we call that annotation, is in place. And because we have that, then we can assure to anyone, can be a reviewer of a journal, or it can be an agency, regulatory agency, that what has been generated by a machine is not only less accurate than what a human would do, but even more accurate, because these machines don't get tired, don't lie, etc. Again, as you see, the validation steps are long and several. I don't want to bore you with them, We can debrief about that when the right time comes. But the idea is that you need to have an internal validation, something that in our case we will do internally with our humans in the loop, with our medical doctors. There is no way the validation can be automated. It can be digitized and it can be at speed and at scale, but it cannot be automated. And then you need an external validation. It's okay that I say that my metrics are very good in terms of sensitivity and specificity regarding that transformation of words into variables. But it turns out that this is a difficult scenario because human language, as you know, is very complex. It's not only finding terms, it's also finding context. It's not Alzheimer, it's fear of having Alzheimer or family with Alzheimer. It's negation, it's laterality, it's acronyms, it's temporality. Wow, temporality took us years to develop this because it's very difficult to address this in a real setting with real, actual medical records, knowing how messy and fragmented and structured they are. But it is doable. And as I said, one of the steps that we will need is an external validation. So what do we do? Well, what we do is we go to the principal investigators that don't have to collect data anymore because the machine is doing it for them. And we tell them, look, in exchange, now you don't have to do that manual effort, but in exchange, we're going to ask for a few hours of your time, which we are going to compensate. And you are going to be the one arbitrating if what the machine is extracting is accurate or not. Again, the CAPTCHA, traffic lights, yes or no. And that is how we will be sure that we have the right gold standard, human gold standard by the experts. And we will do this every time we go to a new disease area and per site. That's why when I get the question asked, what is your precision? I say, there's not one metric. There's a precision per site and per disease area that gets updated every X amount of weeks or months. This validation methodology is public. This is not secret. It's published in the Journal of Medical Informatics, where it probably should be, and you can check it anytime. That's just a screenshot of how the software looks for the principal investigator who is judging if the extraction that the machine did was correct or no. This is what gives us credibility in front of large language models, in front of a regulatory agency. And this is what part of what let us say that this is regulatory grade. But as you will see, that's a fact. It's a matter of fact. Yeah, okay, so again, I'm proud to say that we trained with almost 7 billion clinical documents, more than anyone else we know. And the reason why I'm saying this is because at the end of the day, as you know, because AI is so trendy now, it's a matter of training. The more you train the brain, the better it gets, and that's as far as it gets. And so this is just maybe a word more internal about us, but some people sometimes ask, and how you do it? How is this possible? Well, it's very simple. You have to combine teams of technical people and science people. That's the idea. That's the whole secret of what we've been doing for more than 10 years now. The fact that we combine what engineers and data architectures and people like that can do with epidemiologists and so on. And they can talk, they have a common language. And what is most interesting, they have common tools. So what we have is a set of internal tools that allow us to communicate what the endpoints of the protocol should look like in terms of machine learning models. And we can do that at scale. That's why a new linguistic disease panel, that's how we call it. So a set of 250 new variables for a new disease area, we can train that in about 2 to 3 months, which is really, really fast for the industry because this is basically what we've been doing for our entire professional life. Of course, you shouldn't believe a word of what I'm saying if it wasn't because it's published in peer-reviewed journals with big names, good names, and maybe this was a problem that we had in the past when we started 2015, 2016, that editors wouldn't, I mean, it was the first time they were hearing this, and how can it be that a system, that a machine is really creating databases that are reliable? But I think these days, the amount of publications and not only the idea of AI around in our lives allows us to be credible, and everyone can check how this gets done. But maybe the most important part when I finish a meeting or a talk or something is the takeaway message that people normally ask about, which is, okay, I got it. I understood AI, NLP, automatic extraction, but why is this even better? I mean, I get the idea that is you don't need human effort to do this. I understand that, but to me, why this database is richer, is has more value, right? So to try to keep it super simple, and then we'll complicate it a bit more. But just talking about natural language processing as a technique to create databases, we discovered that people that use it and then are grateful and come back, they do it for they claim three things. First, the obvious one, I already said it, less time consuming for humans that don't need to spend their time populating databases. They have many more interesting things to do in their lives. Second, by definition, we get all the patients per site. All the patients, let's say we decide by design that the platform is going to go back 5 years or 10 years back in time. And of course, then we will get a refresh of the information every, 3 months, 6 months. But only day one, you already have 5 years back, 10 years back, all the patients with inclusion and exclusion criteria, even the dead ones. So there's no selection bias by definition. So that's one thing. The other thing is from those patients, by definition, we have all the departments. So it's not just the oncologist. It's not just the cardiologist. It's the internal medicine. It's the emergency room. It's gynecology, whatever. We have the whole patient journey across the institution. Fair enough, if the patient goes to a different place, then we miss that. But as you know, in Europe, that's not a big problem. In the US, it's a bit more, but so the reality is that follow-up bias is diminished heavily. So I gave you there a few examples of publications where we were able to do this, to follow the patients in a very comprehensive manner, both from the type of patients, which is all, that's the short answer, and what we know about those patients. So those are differences. Those are things that with humanly generated registries, manual reviews, you would never get. It's impossible by definition. So that's the kind of things that happen when you automate a process that, or robotize a process that was manual. Now, in terms of the type of, let's say, situations or use cases where people that have tried this say, I really noticed the difference. I brought a few. So one of them would be, it's very obvious, natural history, disease trajectories, patient journeys, because of this way of accessing information. Is very obvious that we're going to have something that you wouldn't have in a traditional database manner. So I brought you a few examples there in cancer and in diabetes and so on. But the idea is the definition, the granularity of how these patients are moving across institutions is unseen in the industry. This is just an example with COVID, and the reason why I'm bringing it is because this was very impressive. What we did here, or what the investigators did with our technology, I should say. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, everyone on a lockdown, and only 3 weeks after the patients were being attended, the manuscript was sent. Why? Because the information was in the medical records, and we could extract it automatically. There was no need to collect the data. It was there. We were able to read a whole region of the south of Europe with 7 million people, and we characterized every single patient. And what is interesting is that by that time, there didn't even exist an ICD code for COVID. But since we can program the machine with the characteristics we were looking for, we could find them. And we could do predictive models and all types of things around this. So I think it's a very nice, it's a bit old already, but it's one of the best examples in that regard. This is more anecdotic, but I bring it to convey the power of technology when it comes to what linguistics and computational linguistics can do today. It's a very simple example, but sometimes people understand with this. We had a case where a big pharma company, they wanted to characterize the population of diabetes for market access reasons, which is in principle, the majority of the reasons why people come to us, even when that is changing, as I will explain a bit later. But in this case, they wanted diabetes. And it turns out that surprisingly, the reality of medical records is very surprising. I can tell you that. I've seen things I never thought I would see. But in terms of completeness and so many other things. And of course, taking care of missing data is a big part of what we do with our strategy and so on. But in this case, many times they didn't write down if it was diabetes 1 or 2. And the reality is that we don't need it because the machine has enough context from the rest of things, from age or analytics or blood tests or whatever, that it was able to perfect classify if the patient has type 2 or type 1 diabetes, even when it's not explicit in the text. And the reason why I'm saying this is because some people maybe, and I would be skeptical by saying, but I need this scale for, let's say, multiple sclerosis or Alzheimer, especially in neurology. I'm a neurologist, so I know this. That's normally not in the text. So in that case, we say, but don't worry, because most of the times we can infer that. Like we can infer mortality and many other things. That's why it's not only the benefits that I presented, it's also that we can deal with missing data in a way that would be impossible by traditional means. Of course, knowing the disease trajectories in cancer is very useful, and this is something that we've done extensively along these years, and we've been presenting this at the conferences and so on. Of course, finding adverse events is a very obvious use case for this technology. All the adverse effects are going to be there. Maybe not all, but many of them. Much more than in traditional data collection, because there's no information bias, there's no incentives not to inform. All of that, we get rid of it because it's there, we're gonna find it. We're like detectives. So some people are using us for this. So that would be let's say the benefits of applying NLP to medical text for creating databases in real-world evidence from the descriptive point of view, which is the one that informs the majority of the, let's say, business problems of our customers. But sometimes we want to get a bit fancier, and we want to do predictive models because it's the era of AI, and we want to predict things. And again, you can predict leveraging a database only composed by structured information, claims, but the granularity of those predictions is going to be lower than if you do it by pulling a database that has all the variables. That's very obvious. So when it comes to prediction and predictive models, we can generate databases that move into the orders of magnitude of tens of thousands of variables per patient. So we have around 20, 30,000 rows per column columns per row. And that allows us to generate predictive models that, with using machine learning, of course, not classical statistics, that would be impossible, that, as you can imagine, are very differential. This is just an example. So a group of oncologists, in Europe, they wanted to know the probability of bleeding and thrombosis among solid tumor patients. We did it. We applied our technology. We extracted information from several hospitals, big hospitals, small hospitals. We combined that, read tens of thousands of variables, then came out with a model that predicts better than the state of the art. And it's now in the guidelines of the Society of Oncology, in this case, in Spain. So our reality. And just to give you another example, this is something that we're not doing with the industry. We're doing this with the academia, in this case, with the international group of head and neck cancer. We are creating this predictive model that will inform the optimal sequence of treatment depending on patient. So precision medicine is very nice, but precision medicine is not only genomics or proteomics. This precision medicine can also be medical records. And there's some evidence around there that it can be done, and we're doing it this right now. So prediction is fair enough, doesn't go to the core of the business or evidence needs problems of our customers, but sometimes it's also interesting to be around here from the medical affairs perspective, and this is something that can be done in a way that is uncommon with traditional data sets. Now, getting a bit more practical, how does this look? So tomorrow I want to go into this. What is the let's say the shape of this? How can I deal with such technology? Well, the main idea is that this is not a study. This is not a project. This is not even it's not a one shot, because there's no need for that. I mean, why in today's world, why would you want to go to the music store and buy an album when you can have Spotify, when you can have live, continuous streaming of music, limitless? And that's precisely what we do. So the technology that I've just described, NLP, clinical NLP on medical records, we embed it into what we call next-generation registries. So that when you get in touch with this kind of technology, it's not like one report, not even one database. What you get is an actual software. You get a platform powered by AI, as I explained, that is the new way of presenting a registry that is alive, that gets, again, 5 years back, 10 years back in time, but then gets refreshed. And what is most interesting, that you can play with in the sense of changing, scaling to new sites, new hospitals, new geographies, new languages, and you can do that on a platform. So this is really, I would say, advanced, technologically speaking. One of the things that exemplifies this best is the idea that, for example, imagine you start with this platform, and 1 year from now, there's a shift in the market and you need 20 more variables that you didn't have in your registry, in your design. You can change them. You tell us on our platform and we create 20 new variables for you, new template, on the same piece of data. Tomorrow you wake up, you have those 20 variables for all the patients coming and for all the patients in the past. So it's the only registry with an undo button in a way. That's the kind of things you can do. How does it work operationally? I don't want to bore you too much, but the idea is we have to involve hospitals, sites. What we do is we certify them. We assess them to see if they're technologically prepared or not, if they have digital medical records, how their governance works, how much they have the mindset to get into this. And we have a very strict playbook of people we have to talk to. This happens digital over a platform. And so the friction is quite low, and we get the hospitals involved. Now, with the right hospitals, we create the right living evidence hub for our customer. You see? So it's not like we pull all the information into one centralized database and we own it and then we sell data. No, that's not how it works. We're a European company. No, it's that we connect sites that want to participate in a federated way. Federated doesn't mean that the data doesn't flow. The data actually flows to a cloud. But from the governance point of view, it's a federated network where the hospitals will provide the information to the next generation registry of the customer, of the pharmaceutical company. And it doesn't mean that the information doesn't belong to the company. The information of the registry and all the data inside, once the hospital has accepted, will belong to the pharmaceutical company, and they can do with it whatever they want. But to get there, we have to extract the information, we have to de-identify, we have an AI-based de-identification tool so that there's no personal information. We have to import the information and do the quality checks I told you about. We have to run the natural language processing models, what we call these linguistic disease panels of around 250 variables in less than 3 months. We have to do a new Q&A quality process and validation. And then we have to prepare how you visualize that information. And to visualize it means visualize it on a dashboard and so on, but it also means downloading it into normalized data models like OMOP or FHIR or whatever you may need, because some people don't want to visualize. What they want is to have the information and put it somewhere else into an already existing system in the company. And of course, that's something that we have to provide. And some people want the analysis on our platform, and some people don't want the analysis. They want someone else to do it. Great. We're very happy with someone else doing it. Um, Different people will use the same evidence hub. This becomes a sort of, we like to call it, operating system of the real world evidence of a company. There will be different, in the case that you decide to visualize it on our platform, that you don't want to import it or to export it, there are different personas and different ways of visualizing. So the visualization tool for commercial has nothing to do with the visualization tool for R&D or the one for health economics and so on. But maybe about why a registry created with AI is better than a traditional manual registry. I don't have to reinforce it because that's what we've been talking about. But the idea is that you get more comprehensive, deeper real-world evidence, easily to scale live, where you can change the variables, where you can scale to new geographies, where you can download into common data models, where the information is longitudinal, where there's no selection bias. I mean, everything I've been talking about. These are actual. Sorry, there's a typo there. This is an actual landscape of the use cases that, as of today, our customers are using in our platform. Why am I bringing this? Not because I want to tell you what are the use cases of real evidence, which you know better than I do probably. It's to let you know, to show you how the types of people, of profiles, I should say, using this platform in big pharma or mid-sized pharma companies as of today are from all the departments across the whole life cycle. So it can be market access, which of course is a big part of our use cases. It's very obvious, but it can also be trial design. It can be external control arm generation. It can be medical. Actually, those are some real numbers, and you can see that it's well distributed. So from the purchasing point of view, from the procurement, with the idea that with one tool you solve many of the real world data problems. I don't want to say every data problem, because there can always be something that we don't have. Like, for example, we don't have presence and prompts, even when the registry can be connected to presence and prompts of a third party, but we don't have it originally. But the majority of the real world data use cases can be solved with one tool. So even from the cost efficiency and economics of a company, this is really, it's really interesting. This was just a more specific use case in clinical trial design to prove you, to let you know that indeed it is happening. That it's not only that we are fulfilling safety commitments of the EMA as of today with our platform, or our customers are doing it. It's not only that they're claiming label extensions with our platform, which is of course already happening, but it is already happening that there are R&D teams using this platform to inform the optimized design of clinical trials. And that is not futuristic, it's a reality. And once again, this is to reinforce the idea that this is very scalable. So you get the evidence hub, but then you want to scale into a new therapeutic area, into a new geography, new language, new variables, new sites, new countries. You want to change the frequency of refresh of the data, you do it. No rebuilding required. It gets expanded. So I think it's a very comprehensive solution. And this is a case where we're looking at an actual oncology hub, where it's not only one tumor anymore, but we grow across the different tumors of a certain company. And then even on top of oncology, we go for cardiovascular. So we can grow within one disease area, but we can also go to different specialties. And the fact that we grow in terms of the scope doesn't mean that we don't care or stop caring about quality and auditability and governance of that data. So with that idea, I just brought you two real examples, which of course are anonymized, but this is two true cases. This is one case we're doing now in prostate cancer with a top pharma company at global level, where They are going to look at 6 countries, around 20 hospitals per country. This is another idea. You don't need many sites per country because you get all the patients. So as long as you ensure some representativity, it's good enough. They're using it for regulatory reasons, and well, that is our reality. That's something that is happening today. I wanted to make it a bit more tangible. And this is another case of another company that came to us. And in this case, they want a pan-tumor living evidence. So they're going to go for 9 tumor types at the same time. Again, across the whole life cycle in both cases. And this is a bit more, and I'm almost coming to the end. I'm looking forward to having a discussion, but this is a bit more technical from the analytical perspective, but more and more we're seeing how the industry is being able to push the agencies towards a situation where real world data will be more and more considered for regulatory decisions. And that has a lot to do with robust methodologies. We had several failures in the past that we all know. We're trying to claim that real world data could be as good as clinical trials, which is entirely not true. But if you know what I mean, we're getting closer to having robust methodologies that give real world evidence more credibility in terms of certain types of approvals and so on. And that is related to causal inference. And for example, the work that Causa Lab at Harvard are doing, and with their what they call their target trial emulations. Basically, the idea that if you have the right design with real world data, you can actually emulate a clinical trial. It doesn't mean you have a clinical trial, but you can emulate it. And you can transport the information from one geography to another, which seems a bit like science fiction, but it can be done. Like I have information from Germany and I transform that into information from Spain, even when I don't have information from Spain, but I do it because I have the epidemiological benchmark. Or you can even predict how the population will be when your drug, which is now in phase 3, is out in the market. And you can do that upfront before it actually happens. So newer methodologies that are not a reality today, but are coming very fast, 6 months to 12 months, 18 months from now. And what I'm trying to say here is that we're doing a big effort in having conversations where this way of generating data using NLP is not, again, is not only less suitable for this new steps for real world data, but it's even the opposite. It's even more suitable because they don't have the biases you would have with a traditional registry, and they fulfill the criteria of the agencies even more than a manual chart review and a traditional registry. So happily, I think that this natural language processing way of generating data sets puts real world evidence closer to be where we all know that it should be. And in that matter, the advances that the EMA, for example, is taking in terms of accepting this type of methodologies is, I mean, it's changing very fast. We have very nice conversations. Just to give you an idea, I was blessed enough to have I had the privilege of closing the annual EMA day in Amsterdam recently, and an entrepreneur in AI closing the event of the EMA. I think by itself speaks that something's changing, something's moving. And yeah, so this is the idea I wanted to convey, that maybe I shouldn't say future, I would say present or immediate future. I should say present of registries is not static, it's living, it's AI powered for sure. But that doesn't mean that it's not valid methodologically and regulatory grade. And from here, I'm more than happy to have a discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ignacio. Like I mentioned before, now we can start the Q&A session. And if anyone has any question, you can just raise hand, the little button in the bottom of your screen, and then Dr. Ignacio can answer your question.
Hello.
Hello,
Can
please, Ray.
Hello, Ignacio. It's a pleasure to see you live and to hear about your technology. It's a great step forward. And I would like to understand what are the capabilities that Savana has in terms of exploitation of the data you are so capable to extract. So what you can do with that data, apart from the predictive models you have explicitly mentioned?
Yeah. So I would say that the platform that we are offering here is designed with analytics module generated by epidemiologists and data scientists that is basically fulfilling the needs that are usual in the market in terms of being able to do all the usual suspects when you want to use data to compare populations, to compare effectiveness. So we're talking about propensity score matching, we're talking about inverse probability weighting. So I would say that the abilities to use to maximize the value of these cohorts in terms of fulfilling the actual needs, which is at the end of the day proving that a drug works, proving that a works is cost efficient, proving that a drug is better than that of the competition. Those state-of-the-art analytical techniques happen on the platform, and I maybe can add that the majority of the clients that we have use it. So it's less common that they want to analyze it themselves, which is, if it's the case, we fully respect. Even CROs, with which we collaborate as partners, sometimes they analyze it, but most of the times or many times it happens over our platform, and yeah, we inform the usual use cases and needs of this industry.
Thank you, Ray. Do you have any more questions? Just checking. If not, we can move to the next question if Ray doesn't have any more questions.
I think Ray does have one.
Exactly. Sorry, because I cannot see myself, so I don't know if we can speak or not. Excuses.
No worries.
Yes, just to go a bit deeper in this answer, it's really useful to have this standard analysis. Perhaps you already know that we are at Butler Scientific. We are focused in the exploitation and exploration of complex data sets. So my question is always related to that aspect. And I would like to know whether your intentions go in that direction or you are focusing more in the data activation, which is something really complex by itself.
Yeah, no, Ray, your question is very interesting. It's the latter. We are experts in what we are, and we need to focus. So we're in data activation, and then analytics is something that happens because we need to have that, and we do it with high quality. But we are very happy to partner with other companies, CROs or companies like yours, that do this part of the complex analytics. So super happy to explore that, because I think everybody has to focus on what they do best.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have another question in the Q&A chat from Serena. She said that we met in Madrid in 2016, and I'm pleased to see the increased value in Savana. I am wondering to know if you already has experience in Italy.
Yes. It wasn't in my slide. I realized too late, but thankfully, our living last evidence hub running had the need of Italian, and we translated. So now it's available in Italy, and we're actually already accessing data from hospitals in Italy. they're already part of what we call our Smart Health Alliance.
Perfect.
And thank you.
Now we have Jorge. Yes. Um,
Yes, George, we can't hear you. Can you please open up the mic if at your side?
Jorge, you may go ahead.
I think it could be some technical issues from his end.
Yes, Reda, you can go to some other question if they have. We can give the chance
Okay.
to Jorge at a later stage.
Perfect. So we have another question in the Q&A chats from Ram Mishra. It's how do you validate NLP extracted clinical variables to ensure they are reliable enough for regulatory grade real world evidence or HEOR analysis?
Yeah, so that's part of the validation framework that I presented, where are different steps of quality and benchmarking against a gold standard. So basically, there's a first quality check where we ensure that the documents that we got from the sites are correct in terms of we have the right notes from the right departments with the right amount of data. So there are many checkpoints there that are the result of 12 years of experience. Then once we have that and we run the NLP models, there is an internal validation by a cohort of collaborators who are medical doctors with clinical experience around different countries and different languages, and they will get in front of a tool. They have a validation software that will follow a frequentist approach, where they will get basically fragments of text that they will analyze, and the probability of a variable or an endpoint being validated is in accordance to the protocol and the statistical analysis plan of the platform of the Evidence Hub. So we end up with a benchmark. That's the internal validation. Then we have an external validation where the principal investigators at the site will do the same. That will give us, let's say, the external credibility. That's where we start to have the final, what we call F scores, which is like sensitivity and specificity for linguistics. It's just a different name, but that's the idea. And then with that, we do like we see how well our cohort generalizes in front of the well-known cohorts of the world. So we make sure that it goes along with the standards of that disease area, and that's a simplification of the quality process. There are some more steps. It's very nuanced because at the end of the day, we depend on this as a company. I mean, this has to be perfect. But yeah, we can debrief further. But the idea is that there is a chain of validation, and that's how we got approved by the agencies and also by the editors of the journals and by any critical reader.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Jorge actually typed his question in the Q&A chat. Ignacio, you speak about hospitals for extracting information from medical records. What about the link between hospitals and primary care? Is all that information integrated, or there is still work to do?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So in fact, when I say hospitals, it's a simplification of my speech because we already pull in primary care information. By the way, we also pull outpatient information from specialties. Even when it is also true that we get less primary care information than hospital information. But it's not that much a matter of governance anymore. it's more a matter of the business, of the needs of our customers. So we basically pull the information our customers need. And it happens that the majority of the cases, it's concentrated, specialized medicine, and normally it's hospital information what we need, both from community sites and reference sites, fair enough. But yeah, we have some use cases with primary care too.
Perfect, thank you. I don't see any more hands raised, but if there's anyone that has more questions, please do raise your hand.
Maybe to add something, if in case there's someone hesitating if asking or not. Some people sometimes ask about privacy, and some people sometimes ask about why hospitals collaborate. So maybe I'll address these 2 points that were not in my presentation. With regards to privacy, first of all, we de-identify the information. And second, the mandate is very clear, both in the US, Canada, and in Europe. If the information is anonymized, again, sometimes pseudonymized, there's some nuance there, but for now, let's say de-identified or anonymized, and there's a protocol, then it's good to go. So what we do is we sign a new protocol per platform, even with hospitals or healthcare providers we've already worked with. So that's how we solve the privacy situation. And we do it by design, as you can see. And the other part is the question of what do hospitals get? Why would they want to share the data into this platform or evidence hubs? So first of all, they get a fee, they get paid. But also, I like to remark that they also get paid with technology. So if they participate in the evidence hub, they also get a tool that allows them to transform their free text, only theirs, not of the rest of sites, but their own free text. And they use it for many reasons. They use it for clinical trial recruitment, they use it for their own research, for predictive modeling generation. I mean, there are many reasons to have their own data, but so being respectful with privacy and giving them technology and a fee is normally enough to have the hospitals or the sites which are already ready for this new way of doing things.
Thank you. I'm just checking we have any more questions from anyone. Okay. I think we're good. Just checking again. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Ignacio, for today's session. And thank you to everyone that joined for today's session as well. And if you would wish to receive your certificate, you can send an email to hr@wellkis.com. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm just handing over to Mr. Usman, my colleague, just in case to just finish up the webinar as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Rida, and thank you so much, Dr. Ignacio. It was very valuable information you have passed to the attendees and definitely to us as well. I hope the attendees have got what they are looking for. And yes, we know that RWE and the data fragmentation is bit in a very crucial point right now. And especially when it comes to a regulatory basis, it would be a difficult part to be submitted to the regulatory bodies. So I hope so. Dr. Ignacio has been furnished all you very well. And I still give you a chance to the attendees that if anyone has any question, they can ask again, or else we will finish it up. And we would definitely would like to have some feedback from you guys. If what exactly you are looking further in the future from RWE and especially in regards to Savana services. If somebody has the question, please raise the hand or ask us in the Q&A session. All right, I think so. All the questions has been answered, and attendees has been well aware. If they have something, we are available 24 hours, and you may ask us at any time later stage after ending this webinar. And thank you so much for attending this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Savana, built for science, ready for regulation.